So welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. You're watching Daybreak this morning, and we're now looking at just what is making headlines on the front pages of the dailies this morning. It looks like a bit of the papers have decided to tone down on politics, but politics has also been captured on these particular papers. But just looking at the Daily Nation very quickly, on the front page there, Ruto men sued over classified spying software. We have 4 gentlemen that have been highlighted on this front page, and you can see there these are key people in President William Ruto's administration. Key among them is the PS National Treasury, Chris Kipto, Felix Koskei, the head of public service, Eric Ngeno, the president's speechwriter, and of course Jayesh Saini, a health sector entrepreneur. So the big story here is a case that was filed yesterday, gentleman and lady, by one Mary Washuka Maina, a dual Kenyan and Canadian citizen. Her concerns, what is now emerging, that there is a plot to spy on Kenyans using a software. It's a high-stake commercial litigation that has now exposed Ruto's alleged plan to acquire an online propaganda machine to counter hostility against his administration and boost his re-election campaign. This is President's fallout that has come, against, in the midst of allegations that an American owner of the 120 million shilling software has revealed that scheme, or to deploy a confidential software with the capacity to spy, is targeting people who may be plotting to thwart the efforts of President William Ruto's, to continue with his political ambitions in 2027. I don't know whether, when you look at such, it's a case that is still in court, we understand, but, when you look at such stories, does it concern you first as a Kenyan, Mheshimiwa Susion, and then, probably as a leader? I mean, looking at, are we safe? Is our private information safe? And looking at this being tied to a critical process such as an election, should we be concerned from where is it?
I think just tying such a security infrastructure to election, I think is misleading. Mm-hmm. I don't have information about the whole development of the software myself, and therefore I don't have much to comment about it. But generally, in terms of security and gathering data for purposes of enforcing security is a common standard practice. If you go to the US, for example, any ordinary call, before you make, you are always alerted that your conversation shall be recorded. That is what comes out. Even when you pick any normal, ordinary handset from an office, that's what you are told. So that recording phone conversations is not a new thing. You can't call it spying. There's nothing secret in phone conversation if it is cross-checked for security purposes. It's a common practice. So if that technology is coming to Kenya for purposes of security, then it's okay. But then politicizing it and linking it to 2027 is an easy way of bastardizing it. But I dare say any security measures to enforce security, including recording of phone conversation by legitimate security institutions, is okay. It's no big issue about it. But then any Kenyan who has reservations against such development of software can litigate in court, and the courts can interpret and guide appropriately. Yeah, because we are a democratic nation that also seeks and ensures that governance is checked properly through interpretation of the courts, where there's a feeling that certain rights or pieces of legislation are violated or constitutional provisions are violated.
All
but
right.
It's a normal practice.
All right. Okay, depends on how you look at it. I understand where you're coming from, Sosion, but Mheshimiwa Nabwera, this being thrown, in a society that has a lot of mistrust. It could be something of, good interest, like Sosion is saying, but then again, Kenyans have been treated to so much to the extent that whatever new thing that is being introduced is taken with a pinch of salt. What would be your sentiments of this particular...
Go back to the top page, and I want to draw your attention to a number of things that tells you that there's something wrong here. Number one is the last person on that page, called Sain. What has Sain, a private entrepreneur, to do with Kenyan security? That is the question. If I were to argue the way my brother Sosion is arguing, then the correct people here are missing. The spy master of the country should be the one acquiring this, if it is meant for security. If not, the people in charge of internal security. I should be seeing the picture of either Omolo, okay, or his CS here, okay, or the DCI here. Then I will, or to the extent of international borders, then I should be seeing the head of military intelligence. But given that, you can see the correlation here. You have this, I call him the latest power broker in the country, from a business angle, called Jayesh Sain. Right? Then you start saying, then it was not, that's why it has ended up in court. It was not above board. That's why it has ended up in court. For God's sake, it is true a country must protect itself. But within the structures of government, isn't it? Within the structures of government. I am also aware that the events leading to JNC raised a number of questions on our capability to discern. First, to read the mood and discern accurate information that would help government manage its affairs. But all said and done, let's do the right things in the right way with the right people.
With the right people. Yeah. Janet, maybe just also to get your thought on this, probably how best should such things be handled so that both Kenyans and the leadership are reading on the same script? We cannot say that everything that is being introduced is bad, but how do we do it in a manner that will allow both the citizenry and the leadership to read on the same script without this issue of mistrust and reading a lot of malice on it?
Well, there are several things that are not right in our country right now, and it's only fair for us to keep saying them, and we keep saying them. It doesn't matter whether we are saying them to people that are tone deaf. Looking at this, and that I'm wondering what happened to the right to our to secure. I mean, to our right to privacy. What is the stake here? What happens to that? And then you're looking at people who are going a long way for business's sake, for election's sake, for campaign's sake. In this country, 71 Kenyans are still missing. So this kind of infrastructure, for example, if it were to help us so that in future people are not abducted, and then we are told that there is nobody in this country who has ability to know where they are and what happened to them. And so I agree with the Mheshimiwa here that the people appearing here are what should make Kenyans really very, 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 very worried. And I do not know where this kind of thing sits within our laws, communication laws, our rights to privacy, and so on and so forth. So it is something that maybe a lot is happening under the table. Thank God for this litigation. Nobody could have known. We could have just witnessed so many people, because there is even the use of the word target here. So I also don't know whether the wording here is correct and so on and so forth, but I am very sure Kenyans must be interested to follow up and want to know, how does this affect you? And sometimes we have seen things come in and we think that they're not going to affect us. This platform is supposed to be for campaigns, but it will very quickly morph to become something that will oppress those people that will have different opinions. And as we are now, I do not think that, like, for example, the example he gave about Gen Z, it was about people not knowing what people are saying. No, I think we've just seen a deliberate effort by the Kenya Kwanza government to move anyway. Kenyans are saying this way, but we are moving anyway, because what is the worst that you can do? So many examples. The conversation about the finance bill, people spoke loudly. Government decided we are moving. Look at what happened. The withdrawal of the finance bill has never been of interest to me. I am worried about the number of people that we lost in that conversation, yet we needed not lose so many young people in that. Look at the Adani conversation. Kenyans spoke. They demonstrated, they said anything, everything. Government said, we are moving on. Sort of mtadu, you know, and so many other conversations. Government has insisted, we are moving. What are you going to do anyway? And I think for me, even this conversation, 120 million is not an ordinary amount of money. We have refused to listen to citizens when they are saying, can you invest in areas that... The
president the other day during the State of the Nation sort of like really came very clear on the fact that his government has tried to listen to Kenyans, and he was categorical on even the Adani issue, stopping the contract. I don't know whether that would
No, he did not listen to Kenyans. He was forced by the Americans. It's very clear he did not listen. In fact, I was seeing a tweet by the Gen Z saying, I think they need to be tweeting and tagging Donald Trump, so that then the president can see the seriousness in the issues.
So that we go with the Americans.
Yeah, so
all right. Just looking also at two other stories on the front pages, on the front page of the Daily Nation, and one of them, of course, is the EACC probe on Moi University, which will form part of the conversation that we will be discussing a bit later on. But I'm keen on the withdrawal of the security detail of the former Vice Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, Mheshimiwa Nabwera. I mean, this thing seems like sort of like the war is not over. I don't know whether what would be your sentiments on this story that is now emerging. There was a time his security allegedly was withdrawn. Then we had that they had been reinstated. Now again, we are seeing, you know, a story that is sort of like painting a different picture. Mr. Gashagua's more than 200 security officers were withdrawn immediately. The Senate confirmed the National Assembly impeachment from the deputy president position. That was on October 17, 2024. We had that some of them were reinstated, but now again, it seems like, I don't know whether there's been any change, but this...
Okay. Facts will remain facts. One, he had 200 because he was a deputy president. Fact. Upon losing deputy president, automatically another deputy president was appointed. He enjoys the oomph that comes with that office, the security that comes with that office. However, regardless of whatever happened to Gachagua, Gachagua is entitled to basic security. For two reasons. Remember, he's a former deputy president. He's a former deputy president.
So he's still a person of interest.
Exactly. And he has government information with him. Right? But that's not my point. My point is, even you, if you at any one time feel like you need to be extra protection because of one or two reasons, you are supposed to be. Because the state, government in a democratic country exists, one of its cardinal responsibility is to protect lives and property. So it's not about Gachagua. It's about the principle. The principle here is we have a responsibility to protect Gachagua. I've tried to read this story to see whether Gachagua had misused security. There's nowhere they are saying that. What they are saying is insinuations. So again, I will not want to go with this until I have facts. Because I know the IG knows very well, if anything was to happen to Gachagua, because they have not protected him, he will be held responsible. The IG knows it. Because it is the responsibility of not anybody else. You know, we want to politicize it. This one squarely lies with the IG. And the IG is the one who has the police command. Correct.
All right. Susan, I don't know what your thoughts would be on this as well, because claims are that the withdrawal is courtesy of what is being termed as his sponsoring of dissent against President William Ruto. Could it be political witch hunt? Or
it would be a bit treacherous to discuss on what really is not verified.
Yeah.
It still is an allegation. Rigathi Gachagua was impeached as the deputy president and therefore vacated office. And the minimum threshold of provisions of security, I'm sure, is provided in law. And I don't think that really would be a big issue. And therefore, I feel hesitant to comment on what really I cannot verify, what really I cannot verify, and discuss allegation of politics that there could be some witch hunt or otherwise. So I don't think it is right to say government has withdrawn because of, as a punishment. It is wrong. It is not right because we've not verified. That is not fully verified. And I'll still circle back to the comments about the government response to Kenyans' views. The president has been extremely responsive by deleting all sections of finance bill. That was a grand decision by the president, considering the views of Kenyans. But it was not defiance, as being alleged. And the president has responded to many concerns of Kenyans. And of course, cancelling any deals to do with Adani because of what is cited as new information concerning the same is a responsibility that a head of state must do. A head of state must respond to concerns and views of Kenyans. And the president has done exactly that. And he will continue doing so in the management of the affairs of the state as a democracy. For these items, the issues of Rigathi Gachagua, I don't think it should be a big thing. Has Gachagua complained? Has he recorded a statement on the same? We've not seen any complaint from Rigathi Gachagua. So I don't think it's right for us to speculate and waste Kenyans' time discussing issues that...
Let me just take you back on something you've said there. Do we have like relatable instances where you'd say that the president has done this, that shows that he has actually acted on what is relatable to Kenyans? Many think he's not a listening president.
No, the president is listening and is cognizant of Article 10 of the Constitution. That of public participation, the views. Of course, you've talked about the finance bill. I'm citing what has been cited here. For example, one, finance bill, of course, he deleted himself, despite Parliament passing the bill. Remember, it was passed by Parliament. But considering the views of Kenyans, he deleted all the clauses in the finance bill. Himself, as an individual, and despite the procurement approval of Adani involvement in various sectors of the economy, and Adani is not a new thing, it's a huge conglomerate based in India. It is known, and despite all the approvals, he himself, he was able to make a pronouncement in Parliament to cancel any dealings with Adani, and that is a strong resolve to fight corruption And I'm sure you are seeing a lot of activities in dealing with corruption, up to even including the universities.
All right.
We have seen the university funding model. When students raised a lot of concern, Kenyans raised a lot of concern. It has been taken for further review, further consultation.
I agree with you, I agree with you, but what Kenyans are concerned about is the timing. Is it out of resolve and voluntarily deciding that as the head of state, I've heard you, I'm doing this, or it comes under a lot of pressure?
As to when the head of state decides, none of us can control how he looks at things and how he manages the affairs of the state. But at the end of the day, there is a decision that concurs with.
Let me weigh in on this matter. I think I would be failing in my responsibility to allow my brother Sosion to mislead the country on this one. This constitution, the 2010 constitution, is a people constitution. It has an article here that must control all of us in our actions. And this article is which allows people to participate in decision making, so much referred to as public participation. We don't need to fight. We don't need to lose any life. We don't need to lose any money if we just implemented this constitution. That before we take any action, what do the public say? We did not need even to fight over this issue of Adani because the public did not give its approval. Madam, what am I saying? What I'm saying is this, that the president superintends the executive. The president is a symbol of unity of this country. And that's why some of us had to come out of our hardline stand and say, no, the president or the presidency is a symbol of unity. The primitivity being espoused by Kashagwa cannot allow the presidency to hold the country for unity purposes. And we say, therefore, we agree. This guy is primitive. He's not holding the country together. That does not mean that then the presidency becomes superhuman. Okay? Therefore, good decision by the head of state on the State of the Nation address, very good decision. And I applauded him, but too late. After we did not need to lose all that energy all that time.
As Kenyans,
if we had just been, if we had just been loyal to our own constitution. But that's all I wanted to say. What I wanted to say is this. The president works with systems, with people. And Sosion has run a huge institution. This Sosion here will tell you. The quality of your decisions are based on the information you get and how people analyze. I've never tired, and I want to say this. President William Ruto may mean well. But those of us who surround the president and are occupying positions of influence, positions of advice, position of quality interventions, are we doing the right thing?
Do you speak to him? Do you tell him these things, especially you representing a constituency?
You've heard me many times, and you really, if we go to this issue of education, we have wished you people have picked some of the things I say about education in public, in parliament, and you would see when we are talking and saying, look, you here, you are not giving the president the right information. The right information is this.
All right.
What am I saying? What I'm saying is that if you have a responsibility of transport, before you present to the country Adani, Have you checked any other? And is there any other better deal than Adani? That's all I'm saying. So that you don't have to put the president to be every other time prefecting and coming to save the, you know?
All right, let's close that at that. I mean, just looking at also page 5, this is just a mention, the National Assembly majority.
No, I have a problem with you. You are very selective on page 1.
I'm not.
There is a very, no, I have a problem. There is this story here.
Yes, I'm coming.
Why are you not talking about it?
Let me just mention something about, I find this pertinent.
A woman marrying 2 men. Why, is it because a woman marrying 2 men that you don't want us to talk about?
Do you have a relatable incident? Anyway, the National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah has, however, raised concern that those who are criticizing the deal, the Adani deal, are not offering alternatives. So maybe it's time to put an alternative on the table. That's what he's saying, that criticize but offer alternative. Don't just criticize for the sake of it. You can read that on page 5 of the Daily Nation, the Standard, this particular morning. All right. I wish we could go into the story that Mheshimiwa Nabin Abwere is telling us to go to, but there is something that touches on his docket. This is more interesting. This is what I want us to look at. Allegations that members of the National Assembly pocketing night-out allowance paid to bodyguards and drivers, saying this was actually the National Assembly Speaker, Moses Wetangula, who was talking about this particular trend that is becoming really deeply rooted in Parliament. So, Nabin Abwere, before we talk about women who are marrying 2 men, what are you doing with the night-out allowances, for the bodyguards and the drivers? Don't MPs earn enough?
There are 2 things here.
Yeah?
First of all, I cannot speak on behalf of the Speaker. I want you to understand that. Number 2, I don't sit in the House Leadership Committee. The House. And this seems to refer to a discussion in the House Leadership. I'm waiting to see it because the House Leadership meets, processes information, and brings to us to the floor. But this is the point. It will be very wrong for anybody to take a benefit of another. It would be very, very wrong for anybody to take a benefit of another. It's actually punishable. Yes. And if it has happened, the Speaker knows what to do.
But is this unfortunate?
He knows what to do. He just needs,
unfortunate?
He needs to recover that money and redirect it to the right person. Period.
Is it happening?
Now, you know me, I don't have podcasts, eh? So please.
You walk as is.
I don't want to speak on behalf of my colleagues. Please.
All right. Allow us to close that at that. The newspaper review. Of course, this morning we were going to be talking
because I'm not wrong with anybody.
No, but
I don't need it. My podcast is the public.
But the fact, the HR practice in Parliament is that you declare the staff assigned, of course, security you are assigned by government, and you are entitled to one.
Yeah.
Maybe senior officers.
They have 2, 3, based on assessment.
Based on, But any staff assigned to you, you must declare and submit documentations, and all their payments are made directly to them.
Exactly.
But not through the individual member of Parliament.
Exactly.
I was wondering,
I'm wondering
the ones
whether in the 13th Parliament things changed, but
they have never changed.
Parliament, I think
because
it was super. You can recruit as many staff as you want. You can recruit 4, you can recruit 5.
And you provide the details to Parliamentary Service Commission.
They're paid directly.
And they're paid directly to their personal accounts. We don't deal with them.
I was wondering how that works, but then again, thank you for that clarification. All right. So we close the newspaper review. We're coming back with our conversation this morning, looking at the state of higher education.
No, you have avoided this one. Again, I'm reminding you.
Mheshimiwa Abwere, we will be dissecting the crisis in Moi University and also looking at, the way forward on how to achieve quality education in institutions of higher learning. That coming in just a bit. Allow us to take a very short break, looking like we have a lot to still talk about even during the break. Do stay with us.